Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Citizen here, bringing you a ship review on the most recent premium ship to be introduced to World of Warships, the German Tier 8 light cruiser Mainz. Now, this ship was provided to me free of charge by Wargaming for the purposes of review and testing. Now, as far as the Mainz, this review is going to go over the statistics of the ship and whether or not this is something that you are going to want to go ahead and spend 40 to 50 of your hard-earned dollars on. As this is a premium ship in the premium shop, it is not something that Wargaming is giving away for free. Besides making that monetary decision, hopefully this review will also help you understand the ship if you're fighting it in-game, as well as how to counter it or what it's going to be able to do against you. Now, looking at the Mainz, we'll notice that it just kind of looks essentially like a Admiral Hipper class cruiser, and that assumption is essentially correct. This is what would happen if the Nuremberg guns had been placed on the Admiral Hipper class cruisers in World of Warships, and, well, it kind of answers that question very easily. Hit points are roughly the same, a little bit less than the Hipper at 42,500, but for a light cruiser at Tier 8, that is actually the highest of them all. Armor profile is similar, however, to a light cruiser, with the armor plating being 25mm all around except for the top deck being 27mm. So unlike other German heavy cruisers at this tier, you do not enjoy the 15-inch auto bounce that they get to enjoy from their 27mm armor. This ship will take damage from pretty much all battleships it fights, except for some occasional 14-inch gunships. However, Citadel protection is fairly nice on this ship with the German turtleback. Now, do not think that you can just go ahead and be broadside anytime you want. You will be absolutely deleted at range. However, you are a little bit more protected, especially up close in CQE. So, that is something to keep in mind. Now, moving on to the guns, which of course are going to be the bread and butter for the Mainz. The guns have a 6-second base reload, which is the fastest of any of the Tier 8 cruisers. And they do have built-in quarter pen for their high explosive shells, which means the Mainz does boast the highest in-class penetration at her tier of 38mm of armor without using the inertia fuse high explosive skill. Now, this does have a slight penalty, of course. Being a German ship, this has a very low fire chance compared to other ships of her class at only 9%, and a very low high explosive alpha at just 1,700 per shell. Now, the fires per minute on this ship is not great, but it is not that bad. Due to the fact that you don't have to spec for IFHE, you can bump this fire chance up to a nice 11%, which does mean that the Mainz is somewhat decent at using its high explosive. Now, the Mainz will suffer compared to other light cruisers in her class when having to fight destroyers and other cruisers due to the really poor alpha damage of her strikes. However, she will have a much easier time damaging battleships of her tier compared to other light cruisers, as she has sufficient penetration to get through 32mm of armor and the 38mm of armor of most USN battleships. So that is something in her favor. Moving on to the armor piercing shell, this is a little bit of a mixed bag. You do have a very high alpha damage of 3,900, which actually leads Mainz to have AP DPM numbers of 468,000 by default, which means that this ship can pump out a ridiculous amount of AP damage. However, penetration is severely lackluster on these guns, which means that getting citadels on other ships is going to be very difficult indeed. And some side armor battleships, such as German and Russian battleships, might prove to be too thick for the Mainz, especially at range. Shell velocity on the ship is very good at 960 meters per second for both the high explosive and the armor piercing, and the range of 17.5 kilometers means the Mainz can reach out very far. However, there is one downside to this. With the guns being so low caliber, they do have a fair amount of shell drag, which means that towards the upper echelon of that 17.5 kilometer range, you are going to notice a fair amount of slowdown with these shells. Turchverse is also at best. It's only 23.7 seconds, which for a light cruiser is not that good when compared to the likes of Cleveland and Bayard, which sit at 18 seconds and lower. These guns are a little bit more sluggish in comparison. However, this is better than some of the heavy cruisers, so it's okay. I would recommend running Expert Marksman on this ship just because you are going to need to sometimes switch from side to side because half your firepower is located on opposite ends of the ship, so that's what I would recommend for the captain there. As far as torpedoes, there is one nice upgrade over the Hipper class, and that is that the fact that this has 8 torpedoes per side in 2 quad mounts instead of 6 torpedoes in triple mounts. This just gives you a little bit better YOLO potential, as you can pump out a little bit more damage from the side of your ship with these torpedoes. AA is not bad, it is not great. With the ship, you can slot defensive fire and hydroacoustic. However, being a German ship, it is more likely that you're going to want to run the 6-kilometer German hydro, so you're probably not going to be taking defensive fire on this boat. The AA will shoot planes down, but like most ships in the game, you are not going to be able to prevent a carrier from striking you, and if he wants to kill you and he is a sufficiently skilled carrier player, he is going to be able to hurt you. AA is not bad. It's okay. It's not as good as Cleveland. As far as maneuverability, this is somewhere where the Mainz is not going to shine. She only tops out at 33.6 knots, and that is running a speed flag, a 720 meter turning circle, and a 10.5 second rudder. These are okay values. You could run the propulsion mod or the rudder shift to help increase the maneuverability on this ship, which I highly recommend. And that does help out the boat, but you are not going to be something like Bayard speeding around the map. Concealment is also a negative on this ship. Fully built for concealment, the Mainz gets down to 12 kilometers, which is obviously laughable when compared to Bayard and Cleveland, which both hover around 9 kilometers. So this ship is not going to be as stealthy as you would want it to be, and quite frankly does not have the same playstyle as something like Cleveland or Bayard. This is going to open water gunboat a lot more, where those ships can easily take advantage of island cover. All in all, the Mainz's concealment and maneuverability definitely drag the ship down, while her main guns do prop it up. Phenomenal main guns are the trademark of this ship, while her concealment, armor profile, and maneuverability are what drags her down to a more reasonable level. As far as consumables are concerned, you have the 3 main consumable slots. The first one is just your damage control party, standard on all cruisers and ships. The second one is between hydroacoustic search and defensive fire, kind of went over that earlier. And then the last one, you have the only option of taking a fighter. This does actually help out the AA a bit, so I would recommend premium on all of those as well. My personal thoughts about the Mainz. This was a ship that when we first got it as testers, Wargaming really missed the mark on it. This was a very, very bad ship in testing. However, the Mainz has always been a ship that's just tickled me the right way, and I've always liked the boat. Since testing, of course, she has received numerous buffs that have allowed her to remain competitive at Tier 8, and this is a very good overall ship. It's one that I would highly recommend buying if you have the extra cash lying around. Now, she is not overpowered in any way, in my opinion. I do not think this is going to be the end-all be-all ship, but it is a very fun ship for me. This is a ship that has a very consistent ability to get very nice games, even when bottom-tiered, because of the range that it has, so it is not something that you're going to be struggling to operate. Mainz also has a unique captain sharing ability. Because of her built-in quarter pen and not needing IFHE, you can actually use Gunther Luchens on this ship if you do have her spec to the Hindenburg. It's not going to likely line up 100%, but the Mainz, with her rate of fire, can hit the 140 shell hit threshold incredibly quickly with Gunther Luchens, and thus this boat can take full advantage of that captain skill. The Mainz can quite easily get her reload down to below 5 seconds, which is a very nice DPM boost that this ship does enjoy. Gotcha. Alright folks, well that's going to be it for the ship review for me today. I do like to make these nice and quick, get into the nitty gritty of the ships and not waste any of your time. So if you guys did like the review, I would appreciate it if you would feel free to drop a sub on the channel. We do upload highlights here quite often that I get over on the Twitch live stream. The link for that will also be in the description. That is where I make the vast majority of my content. I will see you guys all on the next ship review that Wargaming decides to go ahead and release. But other than that, I will see you all later. Have a good one. I'm out.